He was once reliable, but just like all the other CALMACs, this one is sinking. Welcome back to Fog Football, and the new players are apparently to blame, according to the greatest footballer in the world, Callum Mcgregor.
Aye, there's a certain standard that you need to have at Celtic, and according to Callum Mcgregor, some of the players in the dressing room do not have it. So Callum Mcgregor spoke after Celtic's 1-1 draw. I was about to say defeat because it certainly felt like a defeat, but their 1-1 draw to Kilmarnock.
Felt like a victory to me though.
Yeah. But Callum Mcgregor spoke on the draw. He spoke on the performance and the aftermath, and he says that there's some players in the dressing room that don't know what it means to play for Celtic. And for me, sounds like Callum McGregor is literally just blaming all the new players. It's like he's throwing them under the bus, trying to blame them for the team's current performances. And I get it, a lot of the new signings haven't been that good, but how many of the new signings actually start? When you look at the Celtic team that starts most games, majority of them are the players that were there under Ange Postecoglou. So I don't think it's fair to suggest that it's all the new duds that are to blame, when in reality it's not. Like the majority of them don't even start. So this is what Callum McGregor said in an interview after the 1-1 draw at Celtic Park, when he was asked about the performance and why the team is playing the way it is. And he says the following, quote, "We have to find a way to communicate and make the players aware that when they go onto the pitch, there's a certain standard that's required," end of quote. And then the interviewer replied to McGregor saying if there's a certain level required that is yet to hit home for some of the players. And McGregor responded to this and he says, quote, "When you keep finding yourself in this position, then maybe," end of quote. So what Callum McGregor is essentially saying here is there's new players at this club and they don't know what it means yet to play for Celtic. They're not playing at the level required to play for Celtic. And I think Callum McGregor here, I think he's wrong. I think he's, look, yes, Celtic they've recruited poorly. Some of the players that have come in haven't been good enough. But it's not like they're the players that are contributing to these bad results. The majority of these players starting the games for Celtic are the players that were starting under Ange. They're not delivering. So is he trying to suggest that well, obviously he's not taking any blame, but is he trying to suggest like the players such as O'Reilly and Kyogo and Alistair Johnston, did those players knew what level was required when Ange was there, but now all of a sudden they've forgotten? Is that what he's trying to say? Or is he literally just throwing everybody that has just come into Celtic recently under the bus? For me, that's what he's doing. He's blaming the players that were signed in January. He's blaming the players that were signed in the summer, and he's saying that they're not up to the Celtic level. But for me, I think everyone at Celtic pretty much is underperforming. You can make a case Matt O'Reilly is the only guy that is performed to the levels that are expected, or maybe in his case, overperformed. But nah, for me, this is not what a captain does. I think Callum McGregor literally trying to throw his teammates under the bus when I think he should just stand up and admit that overall, as a performance, as a team, they haven't been good enough.
No, they haven't been good enough. Look at the starting 11 today. I believe it was Ida, and who else was in there that's new? I don't think Bernardo. No, he didn't start actually. Palma. So those two. I mean, that's it. That's realistically it from that point of view. I mean, you look at it, I think that's a very cheap excuse to use, because I think someone like Ida, right, obviously from Ireland, his family supports Celtic. He's going to get what playing for Celtic means a lot more than someone who comes from South Korea. That's just the reality of the game.
But can we agree that he's throwing the new players under the bus? Because he says that some of the players don't know what level's required yet. And then the interviewer asked him, was the level required yet to hit home for some players? That's suggesting, to say that it's yet to hit home, that means that he's talking about the new players, the players that have just came into Celtic. So it's quite clear that he is talking about the players that have just been at Celtic this season. That is obvious. So for me, he is throwing the new players under the bus and he's trying to blame them. But what has Callum McGregor done? Why, if he's Captain McGregor, if he's a great player, the greatest player in Scotland supposedly, some people would say he's the greatest player that Scotland's produced in maybe a couple of decades. Why is he not grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck and getting Celtic over the line? Why is he not getting Celtic? Why is he not grinding out a 1-0 win for Celtic? Or why is he not getting Celtic back into the game and back over the line and getting a 2-1 victory? If he's so good at controlling the game, if he dominates the game, if he's the midfield maestro that controls everything, why is he not good enough to win against Kelly? I think it's cheap, just essentially saying, I see all those new players, they don't know what it takes to play for Celtic. They're not at the level required.
It's a fucking blame game at Celtic at the minute. I mean, Rodgers, as we discussed earlier this week, saying that all the negativity's for the media. It's not from within, even though it's clearly from within.
I've never heard Tavernier come out and say this shit. I've heard Tavernier pretty much condemn the entire team, saying that they all need to do better. I've never heard Tavernier come out and say, oh, some players don't know what it means to play for the jersey.
No.
This is 100% Callum McGregor throwing the new players under the bus and taking zero responsibility.
Yeah, and no, it is Tavernier, you're right, comes out and says that. But like, you look at Callum McGregor the day, he was fucking shit. He's probably one of the worst players on the pitch. I mean, I'm not even joking. Like, we watched Celtic fans TV and they bashed him. Ramon Monet bashed him. So it's not just in our agenda that some people we think we've got against Callum McGregor. If this guy was so good, right, he would be able to single-handedly carry them through games. He doesn't. Like, he doesn't do it in the Champions League, doesn't do it in Europe. Like, you know what? If people want to say dominate at the Old Firm there, you can go ahead and say it. I think you're talking mince, honestly, but...
Is this a sign that pressure's getting to Callum McGregor that he's come out and said this? Because I don't think I'm clutching at straws here. I genuinely think that he's threw the new players under the bus, when in reality, I think he should be generalising the entire team and saying it as a whole. It's not good enough from all of us, instead of just trying to suggest that some of the new players aren't at the level yet because they don't know what it means to play for Celtic. I think that's piss poor.
I think it is piss poor. I think there's a lot of people to blame. You can't just blame the new players. I mean, what about Kyogo? He's been shite this season. He's been there for ages. Hatate. I mean, let's be honest, right? They can cry about Hatate and Carter Vickers, but see, when they've been fit this season, what have they done?
Not a lot.
I mean, I remember Carter Vickers came back and he cost them a result against Lazio. So, I mean, I think the old and the new and the current or whatever are all to blame at Celtic. You can't just let a think, they've not signed well, right? And, Rangers didn't sign well in the summer, but even under Beale, Lammers and Dessers were putting the effort in. You couldn't fault their effort. And when I look at Celtic, can you fault the new players' effort? I mean, honestly, I've watched most of the games. They're trying. Some of them just aren't good enough in here. I look at Callum McGregor. He looks fucked after like 80 minutes. Same way, O'Reilly's been shite since the winter break. Other players like Greg Taylor, shadow the player he was under Ange. I mean,
Alistair Johnston.
Aye.
So, I mean, you thought Alistair Johnston was probably going to be the next player that was going to leave for big money. And, well, big money in the Scottish football. You thought maybe Alistair Johnston would be attracting big interest because Celtic have done well with right backs over the past couple of years. Frimpong, Juranovic, and you thought maybe Alistair Johnston was maybe going to follow suit and get a big move. But the way he's played since Rodgers came in, I mean, never mind a move. He might be getting replaced by Anthony Ralston. That's how bad he's been. So, yeah, for me, I think more than just the new players need to take some responsibility. And I think this is poor for a captain coming out and throwing his team under the bus. I don't think a captain would do this. I mean, it's not Derek Adams level of like a meltdown here, but I think that McGregor might regret these. I don't think, even if he didn't mean it, I don't think he's chose his words correctly here.
No, it just highlights the turmoil at Celtic for me, and I'm all for it. I mean, I think Rodgers is the most to blame. I look at the players they've brought in. Yeah, they're not world beaters, but I just think under Ange they would do better. And I think the proof is in the pudding. Look at all the players that were better under Ange. Apart from O'Reilly, every single player was better under Ange. Right? That is facts. That is 120% true, man. As the guy might have said earlier, Super Scoreboard, the league's 110% done. Well, it's 100% facts that everyone was better under Ange. So where's the proof that these new players are good and it's just Rodgers can't get the best out of them? Because he can't get the best out. I mean, he's making players who looked a step above the league under Ange look fucking mediocre. And that's what Rodgers is doing. So
yeah, he's making players that looked too good for the Scottish Premiership under Ange not looking good enough to wear the Celtic jersey.
Yeah. But then you look at Clement, who's making Dessers, who looked... I mean, I'm not saying Dessers is, Henrik Larsson levels, right? But see Dessers under Clement compared to Dessers under Beale, it's night and fucking day for me.
Even Abada, I know we can talk about Israel, Palestine or whatnot, but this is a guy that was getting talked about 12, 15 million pound last season. I mean, would you pay that amount for him now?
No.
Would you hell?
Same with Kyogo. I mean, we were talking about in the summer. Why doesn't Ange go for Kyogo?
The way Kyogo's playing at the moment, like, I mean, you can see why he wouldn't get a game for. Never mind Spurs. You wouldn't think he'd get a game for a lower league Premiership side. So, I think there's more people at Celtic. I think there's more players at Celtic other than just the new players that need to take responsibility. And I think Captain McGregor should be taking the most responsibility. He's a captain. He's a leader. And this is not what leaders do. Lead by example. And he basically just says, don't blame me. Blame the new guys that doesn't know what it means to play for Celtic. So I think it's poor for McGregor. But we'll see. I do think Celtic could fall apart. I think this could be it.
This could be it, guys.
I'm going to make a prediction that, obviously not counting if Celtic play before Rangers, but I don't think Celtic will ever be top again this season when match days are level.
Yeah, I get that.
They might go top momentarily if Celtic play on Saturday and Rangers play on Sunday because of the Europa League. But I think Celtic will not be sitting top of the Cinch Premiership again this season.
There's 4 games in between that, though. And we've looked at it. Celtic away.
Well, yeah.
Tynecastle, Fir Park.
It could be by the time Rangers actually start playing the Europa League games that they've already got more than 3-point gap over Celtic. So, will be interesting, guys. Anyway, we'll catch you in the next one. McGregor throwing his team under the bus. Not very professional, not very captain-like for CALMAC. And
They were throwing barriers, they were throwing sharks, now they're throwing their own players. Till then, peace.